Hello, everyone out there. Welcome. Guess what day is it? It is Thanksgiving Thursday. It is Thursday again and again. It is Thursday. I cannot believe I went to my bed. I slept. God kept me. And we are here again on another episode of The Question with your host, Verona Willis Brown. Listen, listen. If this is your first time tuning in this show, these are the rules. Grab yourself something to drink. Have your notebook, have your pen, and if you don't have a pen, use your devices and get into your notebook section and write because here we give out juicy contents. We give golden nuggets. We give little water so we could sprinkle on you so we could inspire you to be the best version of yourself. So if you're in the live audience, I am going to give you 5 seconds because if you see that up there, over there, right there, if you see that red sign that says live, simply mean you are in the live audience. And what better place to be than in the live audience? That is correct. So if you're tuning in, let me know where you're tuning in from because you are tuning in to something good tonight. You know how we do. Every Thursday is different. You never know what you are going to expect. But one thing you will get is inspiration and empowerment right here on the question. So if you have a story, a book, work in progress, bring it here so we can work and create, grow. But most of all, support each other because the journey called life and the journey called success takes more than one of us. Absolutely. So now, while you're there, share this live. That's the reason why you're in the live audience. Share the live so we can work together. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear viewers, I'm going to sit back for a quick second. See, I always come ready. I always come hydrated. So you have the chance to get yourself something to drink. I don't know what you drink. Maybe it is wine, water, tea. Who knows? Whatever it is, hydration is the key. So let me be quiet and give it a quick second to look up there and see that live and share it. Yes. So I want to welcome in the audience, Lavon Dachusia. Welcome to this episode of The Question. Our first guest coming up tonight. I tried to read his bio. And because I tried to read his bio, and it was so many titles. And like you hear, I said, I am presenting the male guest tonight. First, why? See, it is written that women were created from men. Let that sink in for a second. We were so created from men, and because we were so created from men, I decided to bring my king brother up first. And like I mentioned, I was trying to read his bio. He's a man of many titles. I might just give him the opportunity to tell you all the titles. That's just a whisper. Anyway, if you have questions for them, drop them in the comment, not now, only when they present. So let me be quiet and bring to you my king brother. He goes by the name Mr. Scribe.
Good evening.
My brother, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very, very well. I'm happy to be on your platform. You and I kind of went back and forth and conversed, and I've been following you a little bit on social media. So I'm just happy to be here tonight.
Yes, I am so grateful that we finally made it here.
Absolutely.
Listen, before I even go any further, we have people watching from Jamaica.
I
Not
saw
Jamaica
that.
Queens.
No, I'm from New York. So when they said Jamaica, I knew it was the other Jamaica.
Not Jamaica Queens. We in
No,
Jamaica.
not Jamaica
We over
Queen.
there.
Right.
Yes. So I'd like to go with my very first question. My first question is always is, how are you doing truthfully?
I am doing well. Had my mother transitioned in August, my aunt at the same time. So, and then my wife, one of her very good friends, passed away right before we was going to New York to bury my mom. So, I'm transitioning to a place where I know she's not suffering, so that brings me peace, and I'm just getting myself back into the back into life, back into, not that I stopped living, but I had to take a pause for a minute.
Yes. And see, we oftentimes need to take a pause because sometimes we just go, go, go like a hamster on a wheel and we don't know how to take a pause. And if it takes depth, then that's what it's going to take. So I send out my prayers of strength and comfort to you as well as your family because that's what we're supposed to do. You don't
Correct.
stand alone.
Right.
Yes, so I send out my condolences to you and strength and comfort and always remember, if you live in peace with those who pass, your memory will be always the one that helped you grow.
Oh,
Always.
absolutely.
Yes. So live in peace of their memory and live in peace with yourself. So, ladies and
Definitely.
gentlemen, I said
And
this
I
man
am.
got many titles.
Right.
Ah, many titles. And they goes as far as voiceover, poet. Okay, let me be quiet. I'm going to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself. Tell us where you're tuning from. I think you just mentioned New York. Let us know where you're tuning in from for those who just came in the back, as well as a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I'm in Georgia. I've been in Georgia since 1995. My son and daughter, uh, I have a son and daughter here. Then I have a second son here, and my other daughter is still living in Brooklyn, New York. Moved down from New York, but I'm a native New Yorker. I live in Atlanta, but I represent New York. Started writing poetry at 51, and the poetry just poured out. Was blessed enough to be able to get published not once but three times. So I have three books of poetry that's on Amazon that's circulating right now. And I recently, well, not well, maybe 6 months to 8, 9 months ago, getting into voiceovers, learning the business, getting the equipment set up, and I have begun to audition for different roles and different parts. So that's where I'm at in my journey now, working on a fourth book, but kind of table that on the side for a minute while I try to get my, well, not try, while I'm getting my voiceover career going. So that's where I'm at right now.
I told y'all. I told you this man got some stuff going on. A voiceover. First, before I even get into that, you said 51. You started writing at age 51.
Yep. And it was something that was a total surprise because I never considered myself a writer, not even a poet. I mean, I love to read, don't read as much as I would like, but I was an avid reader when I was younger because being in New York, you don't drive everywhere, you take public transportation. So what do? You read the paper, you read a novel on my way to work. But here, I was driving to work, but I'm working remotely now. But my days, it seems like the time just goes. But At 51, was seeing someone at the time, not my wife. I was dating at the time, and just wrote a little simple rhyme poem, and they enjoyed it. And kind of nothing happened after that. Then all of a sudden, they just started pouring out. I just started, I mean, get pieces of paper, computer, and by the time I finished with that flow going, I had over 200 poems. So I had over 200 poems, and I was just sharing them with family and friends at that particular time. Didn't really know what I was going to do with them, but I just know I enjoyed writing them, and I was surprising myself by the words that was coming out of me. So I was talking to a friend that I knew from New York, but she lived in Texas. So we was just we connected on Facebook, and I was telling her about, wow, I'm just writing these poems, and she's like, well, why don't you write a book? Never thought about writing a book. So from that point, I said, okay, now that I'm doing that, God, how is that journey going to happen? So being internet, I guess the timing was where it was at my age and technology, started searching, well, let me see if there's poetry on the internet. And of course, we always started with Facebook. And I noticed that there was a number of different poetry groups that posted their poems. So I was like, okay, let me get my nerve up. Let me take one, put it online, and see what happens.
Right.
So I posted one, and I was just checking to see if anybody had, because this was a group that you post a poem and people would critique your poem and give you feedback.
Yes.
So at first, there was nothing. And then maybe 3, 4 days later, a young lady who we're still friends today, we never met. We only met on social media. She gave me a review. She said, wow, you have, you have, you need to find your voice. You need to write outside. And she gave me really good points that I needed to look into. I started researching poetry. There's all different types of poetry that's out there. I know that it's not a genre that a lot of people are into. You ask people, oh, they read science fiction or all these types. Not too many poets, but it was something that was placed in me as a gift by God. So I said, well, poetry is where I'm going to go. And speaking to my friend, okay, how do these poems come together? I
Right.
sat down, printed them all out, started looking at them, and I noticed that they were about me. They was about what's inside of me, how I see the world. So before the title came, again, God intervened. Was speaking to another friend of mine that was still living in New York, and she shared that she had a small publishing company that she started. And
Right.
I said, wow, my friend is telling me about publishing, and I just now speaking to a pub. And I said, well, what type of books do you publish? She said, oh, fiction, autobiographical type. I said, well, do you do poetry? And she says, no, I really didn't think about really doing poetry. So she said, well, let me do this. Send me some of your work, and then we can have a discussion once I look it over. So I went through all my paperwork and stuff and just picked 3 poems that I thought I felt good about
Right.
and emailed them to her. A couple of days later, she came back. She said, you didn't write this. This was somebody else writing it. You couldn't have written this. And I said, yeah, it's me. And she was very impressed by what she read. So from there, she said, I want to send you a contract and let's get started on getting you published. So the first thing I knew I had to do was I needed my work edited. And I knew I could, and I had read on the internet, don't edit yourself, have someone else do it. Because if you edit
Critiques. We need
yourself, you're
critiques
going to
from
start.
somebody else.
Right. You're gonna be biased because it's you writing it, and you're
Right.
gonna
Right. It's
make
your
mistakes
work.
that you're making. So same friend who encouraged me to get published was an English major in college. See how all this stuff is just coming together. So I sent her the manuscript and we went back and forth about 2 or 3 months. I would send her the manuscript, she would send it back. I would go, no, leave this the way it is, no, change this. And after a few months, everything was ready. So I sent the manuscript to the publisher and I looked at book covers. I designed the book cover of my first book,
Yeah.
and she sent it to the printer. And I remember the date, June 4th, 2012, because my first grandchild was born the same day that I got the book. The
Well,
first hard
congratulations.
copies I got, my granddaughter was born. So I knew it was something beyond me I'm like, I can't orchestrate all these different circumstances and situations. And that's where the first book was birthed. And the name of the first book is Into My Rotation, a collection of scribes.
Wow. Enter your rotation
Into my
or
rotation,
into my rotation.
into my well, I shoot pool. So every Thursday, well, really every Friday and Saturday, I would go to shoot pool. So the lingo, everybody got that little lingo that they speak.
Hey,
So I
from
would ask
Brooklyn,
my friends, I would
New
ask my
York.
friends, yo, what's in your rotation for this Friday? And they said, oh, we're going to get together and shoot pool. So therefore the title, Into My Rotation.
Listen, if you're in New York, you have so many lingual, I must say.
Yes. And I lived in Brooklyn, so I had a
Brooklyn,
lot of
Queens.
West Indian. I had friends from Jamaica, friends from Aruba, friends from Belize, friends from Dominican Republic.
So
It's
there
all
you
that
go.
diversity. So I had a
Yep.
lot of, and I love West Indian food. They even called me back in the day Adopted Trini.
Okay. All right. We're going to send it to Trinidad and then we're going to send it to Jamaica at the same time. Because, see, we got someone from Jamaica right now. And then you
Right.
are very much welcome to go there. He will take care of you out there.
And I have been to Jamaica. I went to Ocho Rios
Yes.
and what was the other place? I can't remember the other place, but it was in Jamaica.
Listen, all we know that you went to Jamaica. That's what we need to know. That you
I went
already
to Jamaica.
stepped foot. Right. You already went there.
And I got an opportunity to go to Trinidad for Carnival.
Oh, all right. Never mind. All right. All
That was
right.
that was an experience.
Let me call the family in Trinidad now. Let me call the family in Jamaica and Trinidad. And where else? Belize. Let me call all of them.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Love the culture.
Oh,
Love the culture.
congratulations.
Love the culture.
Yes. So here we go. So how does it feel? How does it feel? Like describe to us the audience. Me, of course, I'm your audience. How does it feel to start writing at such a golden age or
It
season
feels
age? I must.
good. It feels good because my thing is when I started to write, the poetry just poured out. And then I studied the genre and then so many different types. I free verse, I write, sonnets and haiku and all these different types of poetry. But the thing is that I'm amazed at my words. I'm amazed at how people resonate when they read my work. And that's the thing for me that gives me the creative juices to know that something that I put on paper moves someone else, moves
Yes,
them to think differently, may help them over a situation that they're dealing with. So for me, that's what fuels me to write. And I know that it was a blessing for me to be able to do it because I know everybody can't do this. Everybody can't. People write poetry, and we know when you read enough, if you read novels, if you read fiction, if you read certain books, if you're an author, you don't read it to critique. I mean, you read it to understand, but you can tell what's really good and what's not good because everybody has
absolutely.
a feeling. I don't down people, and that's what I ask of people that read my work on Facebook. Like I'll post a poem on social media, I'll get a whole bunch of likes, but that's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is, did you not like it? And if you didn't like it, please tell me why you didn't like it. Because the only way I'm
Yes,
going to improve as a writer is to get critique, positive and negative.
absolutely. And that's what it's called social media. Social media is not for you to just like. Social simply mean you and I, we having a conversation.
Right. But we know where social media has gone. I mean, technology is a wonderful thing. The fact that you and I can have a conversation and I mean, maybe 15, 20 years ago, either I would have to physically be in your space or you would physically need to be in my space in order to
Right,
have a conversation, in order to have people look at where we are now. We're on a platform where you're in one place, I'm in another place, and we have people from Jamaica and worldwide that can tune in and my words can go right beyond out of my neighborhood, out of my state, out of my country to
right.
global. And that's the power of technology, but it can be used for good or it can be used for things that's not so good. So we know that there's
Choose
always a
wisely,
balance.
people. Choose wisely.
Yeah, there's always a balance. And life is a balance. Life is good and evil, up and down. Life, and as a poet, my other feeling about being a poet is if you want to know the history of a culture, If you want to know history, good or bad, read the poetry from that time. I've read poems from Maya Angelou growing up in the 60s. I was born in 58, so I grew up in the 70s. What we had to be as people of color had to deal with. So I've read Langston Hughes, and as a black man in this country, his poetry, James Baldwin. When you read his
Yes.
words, wow, that's what he was living in. Because when you read his words, you feel the pain of being a black man in this country and what he had to deal with. So if you want to know the back history and the culture, read the poetry.
Yes, absolutely. And we like to talk about healing. And when we talk about healing and encouraging someone, we have to know that we need healing ourselves to receive that healing and to receive that encouragement. We have to be in that place. So what would you say to someone right now who need healing? And it don't have to be medically, but healing is overall. Healing is general. What would you say to someone right now who need healing?
I would say to the audience right now, we are all broken in some shape, way, or fashion. A lot of people will keep it inside. A lot of people will not share because a lot of times when you share your brokenness, people try to take advantage of you. People try to use you emotionally to manipulate to a narcissistic behavior. What I would say to someone is for me, I found it in my faith. I know that I was broken. I know that I'm not perfect. We all go through feelings of guilt, feelings of unworthiness, that we're not worthy of a relationship. We're not worthy of people in our lives. What I found is that once I let go of that guilt of feeling unworthy, I know I'm not perfect, but I can live with that because I know who I pray to, who I speak to, who I asked and invited into my life. So I'm never by myself. I may be physically by myself, but spiritually, I always have a companion. And people out there that may feel that they're alone, that may feel that they don't have anybody, there's somebody that's always standing or by your in your life. All you have to do is make the choice to reach out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing I oftentimes says this. No one can make it by themselves. So you already answered the second part of the question because I was going to ask you, what is it that you do? What is it that you did when you were broken? But you already answered that question. So I'm telling you, the audience, if you are in that place of brokenness, remember, you are in there, but you're not in there by yourself. And there are help out here. We got help. We are assisting you into picking you back up out of that brokenness because we can succeed on brokenness. We just can't.
And the other part I would add to that is you're going to fall even in your
Yes.
brokenness because you're not going to heal yourself right away. It's going to go through a process. But as you fail sometimes, to not get discouraged. A lot of times what will happen to people like, oh, I want to be a writer, and they'll start to write and somebody will say something negative and they'll just quit and give it up. What you have
Yeah.
to be able to do is look inside of you and go, if it's inside of me, I'm going to keep moving forward. And that's what a lot of people struggle with because as soon as they get something negative or somebody says something or somebody makes a comment or treats them in a certain way, everybody's not like that. And your situation can expand. Don't stay in a box thinking that, oh, this is what my life is. That's what my life is only going to be. This is what it is. You changes can happen in your life. There's so many different testimonies and stories of people who the odds were stacked way against them and they were able to persevere and go
Yes.
through it. We had a guest on our show, Latasha Holden. She was homeless with 6 kids, and she got on our show and talked about how when she got her into her faith, it dragged her to temptation. She was able to withstand that. She raised all her children. She ran for state office here in Georgia. She didn't win, but she actually ran. And now she has a doctorate degree and she does motivational speaking. She's written a book. All her kids are grown now. So even through your brokenness, you can succeed. It's the enemy that tricks you into believing where you are is where you're going to stay. You
Right.
have control, even if you're homeless, that if you reach out, all of a sudden people start coming into your life that you don't know where they came from. They just want to help you, they just want to do certain things. And you'll have the wisdom and discernment to know This particular person's been placed in my life to do positive things, and I'm staying away from that person because I know that they don't have anything good. When you ask for certain things, I ask for wisdom and discernment, and He has given me that. Where I'm a very social person. I can get along. I can be in a room with someone in 5 minutes. We good friends. But I can see other things where, you know what, I got to keep my distance from this particular individual or keep myself out of a certain situation because I know it's not good for me based on my life experience and based on the wisdom that I've been gifted with.
Wisdom. I like that word. Listen, audience, I told you that you should come ready. You see, I always come ready. I always come with my notebook, so you see me writing right here. So again, if you don't have your notebook, if you don't have your pen, please have something to take note because we are dropping nuggets, golden nuggets right here. So make sure you are writing these things down because yeah, my brother. Listen, we are going to take a quick minute break. And as we take a quick minute break, we are going to tune in some more with my brother right here as he give us some good more stuff. We will be right back. So we are back. We are back. Welcome back. I hope you had a moment just to digest what is happening here. So as we wind on this interview with my brother right here, listen. Whew, if you didn't get something to drink, all right, or listen, things are winding down here, but we are boiling with information. We are boiling, and the audience are here. You're here. Listen, this is a show for you. It is a show for you. So let me bring my brother back with you, my brother. Welcome back.
May I ask you something,
Yes, you
hostess?
may.
I have a piece that I would like to read if you don't mind.
I would like that. Audience, what does say? My brother would like to read to you. Hello? Give me a yes, audience, because I gave my yes already.
Loving the
So,
comments from the audience, and thank you so much. You guys are very encouraging. So I truly, truly appreciate it.
yes, we have very encouraging words coming in from the audience, and we are going to have him as we wind down his segment right here as he read us something special.
I'm going to read from my third book, and the name of the third book is Life Between the Words. And where this book can be purchased is on my website, which is really easy to remember. I'm named as a scribe on the show, but my name is Nolan P. Holloway Jr.com. That's my website where you can go, you can purchase this and my other two books. But I just randomly picked out a poem like I always do. I don't know which one I'm going to read. I just like to go in and whatever it feels, that's where I go.
Listen, I'm sitting up. Should I have my drink ready? I'm having my
Yes,
drink right here.
have your drink
Go right
ready.
ahead and
Let's
wind
get
down
on
with
it.
your one.
This name of this poem is Thoughts to Jot Down Before They Fade. Tossed between kindness and anger, confused thoughts of the past or present, clueless because of moments forgotten, rooted in the pain of failures and the need to release, but holding on so tightly the thoughts become reality. Frustration mounts as the realities conflict. She remembers me, but is losing to the false beliefs in her head. That which is unknown triggers lead to sorrow and tears. I yearn to have the mother of my youth. She prayed when others had given up on me, encouraged me through difficult times. But now I cannot soothe her when thoughts of abandonment and loneliness whisper despair to her ears. Lord, I will continue to pray for understanding of how to deal with this thing that is, robbing us of who she was and what she is becoming. Sorrow may be this evening, but joy comes in the morning.
Let me get some clap hands, some applause, some applause. Because I was trying to keep
Yeah,
up. I was trying to keep up.
that piece was written for my mother. Um, she was diagnosed about maybe 11 or 12 years ago with multiple myeloma, which was cancer of the bone. And maybe 4 or 5 years into her sickness, she developed dementia into Alzheimer's. So that piece was written. Let me jot down the thoughts before they fade, because we know
Yes.
what happens with people with Alzheimer's. There were times I remember used to speak to my mother every day driving home from work. It went from that to her not even knowing, first knowing me as a young man, like a adolescent, and then forgetting me altogether. Where she would just speak, but it wouldn't make any sense. But I would nod and smile, and that was the painful part. Was because the woman that raised me, the woman that gave me advice, the
Yeah.
woman that was there when people had given up on me, she wasn't there anymore. Her physical body was there, but her spirit was there, but just the disease just robbed us of her in maybe the last 3 to 4 years, and that was difficult. But knowing that she's at peace and that she's not suffering helps me to cope with that grief.
And we always got to find a cope method for everything that we go through in life.
And I pour it
Always.
out in my words. I pour it, and that what helps me is it comes out and into my words and my poetry. Because when I was writing that, all those feelings, all those thoughts that I had of who she was and who she is now came out in that, so I can release some of that pain.
And writing, I always say that I'm not really an author, I'm just a writer because writer is what gets you. Writer releases so much. Writer is too therapeutic, so I would encourage everyone, please write. And I did not say text. I did not say text or type. I said write. There's something between you and the pen. There's a deep relationship between you, the pen, your heart, and the paper. Get that? Let that sink in a second. So let me ask you a couple more questions as we wind down here. What is your goal, not only as an author or a writer or a poet? What is your goal today as a black man?
To use my knowledge and wisdom to speak to the youth, to continue to serve, whenever I can, if I'm out and about and just talking to people as a man of 63 years, to be blessed to see these years and to see the world and the condition it in, to share my knowledge, to share the things that I've gone through, my experiences, my triumphs, my failures, to just be able to do that. And I'm working from home, so I don't go out as much. But when I do go out, I have the opportunity to speak to folks, to smile at people, to do those different type of things. And that's what I think part of my purpose is. Part of my purpose is, aside from the writing and all of that, is to be a good person and to help others, not necessarily monetarily, but giving advice, give a smile. I could be walking in the grocery store shopping and just say hello to somebody. I don't, it's just a simple gesture, but that could have made that person's day. And just to be that particular type of person.
I couldn't have said that any better. I couldn't have said that any better. So here I go with your final question for the night. And audience, I want to thank you for being here. So if you do have question for my dear brother, jot it down because we are going to go in Q&A if you put your question. But there can't be an answer if there's no question. So here's my final question to you. What makes you tick?
What makes me tick? Love sports, like watching football and basketball and those type things. Don't do reality TV, but I like my sports because to me it's a microcosm of life. Seeing these athletes, and I was an athlete at one time. I enjoy going to the gym because an older person told me a long time ago, you must stay active. You must continue to move. You can't be sedentary because yeah, 63, I still go pump iron. I may not be able to live for some of these young guys, but I'm blessed to be in good shape. And gonna have some medical issues and things like that, and made it through that. So enjoying life. I have 6 grandchildren that I want to see grow up. So I enjoy them, and when I can spend time with them. As a matter of fact, one of my grandbabies called me the other day. Where's your mom? She's at the store. You on her phone? They knew how to look me up and dial my number to talk to me, to tell me that they were bored, but they wanted to talk to me. So those moments and living in the moment,
Yes.
understanding that a lot of people are so busy with life and distractions and things like that. I can step out my front door and watch the sunset and just be quiet. Just be quiet and just look at the sky and look at the beauty of what is to come, and just think about things in that moment, not thinking about tomorrow, not thinking about yesterday,
Just
just
now.
enjoying right now. And by doing that, sometimes we need to take a breath. We only have a certain number of breaths. So as we breathe, you don't think about it. You just breathe and breathe in and breathe, unless you got something affecting your breathing, then you think about it. But just take the time to take the air in, to do those different things. People, we on this social media all the time. We on our cell phones. We're so busy with life. We need to take a step back, because you don't know how much time you
You better say it, brother, because I can't say nothing else past that in this episode. So listen, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I can't say nothing. Okay, I can't say nothing. I can't put no icing on the cake. I can't put no sprinkler on the ice cream. I can't say nothing regarding what my brother just said. So I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna breathe.
Let me add one thing to you, Monica. If anybody really wants to, they can ask questions here, but if they really want to reach out to me, there is a area to contact me on my website where they can leave an email, leave a comment. I will respond back. We can chop it up, as they say, and have conversations. If you're an aspiring writer and you have questions on how to get started and what motivations and what things you need, reach out. I always check my website for my contacts, and I haven't seen a lot of activity. If you wanted, that's a good way to get in contact with me, social media, but that way also. Do that.
I'm breathing. That's all I'm going to do. So I want to say thank you, thank you so very much for being here. And I oftentimes tell my guests, to my left, there is a chair. You just can't see it. I could see it. I know it's there. So you just have to believe me that it's there. There's a chair. That chair is called the guest chair. And because it's called a guest chair, I oftentimes say I don't like the word fan. I like family. So now that you are a guest on this show, you are now family. You are part of the family. So that chair is sitting right there with your name stamped on it to say that you are welcome back here. Anytime you want to come back, you are welcome to come back. I would just stand at the door and say, welcome back home, my brother. Welcome back home. Because just call this home. So this is home for you. Always, you're always welcome to come back. Just knock, and I look, and I'm like, yes, welcome. So thank you so much again. So as we close this down, what is your final word for the audience?
Find your passion, search for it, look inside yourself, and when you find your passion, make it your purpose.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, you hear it right here. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much again. So, we are going to take a quick break. And again, my brother, thank you for being here.
You are.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been, whew. So, we are going to take a really, really quick break. And we are going to bring to you our second guest for the night. Here we are. Welcome back to this episode of The Question. My sister, welcome.
Hi, thank you for
How
having
are you?
me.
So my sister Jacqueline Walker. This is the episode of The Question, and I'd like to ask the very first question. How are you doing?
I am doing well. I have nothing to complain about. I am doing well. I'm grateful to be alive.
That's it. Gratefulness is all God
Yeah,
asks for.
yeah.
Yes. So we have your book called A Season of Disruption. And let me tell you, our prior guest, oh, he just disrupt the whole segment. So your book came right in on time.
Great, great.
I oftentimes say this. This is my disclaimer, people. I didn't put them together.
Mhm.
I didn't put them together because of their book and their message. I like when I work with my spirit, and this is how it clashes.
That makes sense.
So, everybody, are you ready? Because we are ready to wind this down in this episode. So, I am going to give you a moment to introduce yourself. Let us know where you're tuning in from and tell us a little bit about who you are and what is it that you do.
Sure. My name is Jacqueline Walker. I'm coming to you from Bowie, Maryland. I actually was born in Jamaica. I heard there are people on from Jamaica, so hey, I was born in Jamaica. Grew up in Washington D.C. Then I have a tie to New York because I went to college in New York, graduated from Hofstra University in New York, then moved back to the D.C. area. I'm a documentation manager. And I'm also a motivational blogger. I've written articles for years for Everyday Power blog, and I currently do blogs on my own site, writingsbyjackie.com. So, as I said, I'm a writer, motivational blogger. I actually started out writing poetry. And I know the guest before writes poetry. I wrote poetry, started out really from a little girl, where I would write poetry for my mother and my family. And that's how I really started writing. I was an avid reader and loved to write and just wrote all my life. About 10 years ago or so, I wrote a poetry book, and I also wrote a book of personal essays, and they were just like that was just like a hobby for me, something I wanted to get done. And then about a year ago or so, so events that had happened in my life or became a big anniversary of those events came up. And as I thought about the events and the story and how motivational it was, not just for me, but for others who have told parts of it throughout the years, I thought it was would be a great idea to document it. One, to pay tribute to my mother, who is the cornerstone of the story, and to keep her legacy alive, although she is still alive, but to pass that along and to share that with others, because it is really a motivational story that I think really one of perseverance that can encourage others, and that really fit with my interest and focus in doing motivational blogging. So that kind of tells you a little bit about me. My book, as she said, A Season of Disruption, that's the key book that I bring here tonight. It is a fictional memoir, so it is based on fact. Foundation, I changed the names and a few of the places, but the story is real. And it really depicts a time, a slice of time in my family's life when tragedy struck and my mother had to make some unimaginable decisions so that we could move forward. And a part of that decision was actually leaving her 5 children alone in Jamaica. And not just her leaving, but really the alone part is the key, because there were no adults around really to move in and stay with us. We weren't sent to live with anyone. Instead, there were 5 children between the ages of 8 and 15 who had to live alone and actually learn how to not just survive, but strive. And my 15-year-old sister at the time actually took on the role of mother and guardianship. So what this book does, it actually takes you down two different paths, And it takes you a journey on these 5 children and how this 15-year-old led these 5 children to, as I said, not just survive, but strive. And then it takes you down the path of my mother heading off on a journey, not knowing what lies ahead, but knowing that this is to her what she sees as the only chance to really save her family and give us a future. And as she takes that journey, she runs into obstacles and roadblocks along the way. But then, using her ingenuity and really being courageous and persevering, came up with just unforeseen and unimaginable ways to actually carve out what she needed to, one, reunite her family and put us on a path to success. And so that really is the premise of the book and what you'll read about in A Season of Disruption. It is a story that I said that is very inspirational, and one that I hope people will take in that way, to use it to help them realize that no matter what situation that they're in, and no matter what tools they think they have or don't have, that really God has put everything in there, and they really have it in the palm of their hands, and they just have to be brave enough and be willing to withstand what comes against them and use it to make their way. So I really hope people get that from the book. As I say, it is a legacy of my family, and one that I really wanted to share so that others could use it in their life.
You know, there is just something about sacrificing for love.
Right, right, right. And that is really what it's about. Sacrificing for love, putting yourself last, and looking at, not looking at what you have to give up, but looking at what you know it will accomplish and what it will do for someone else.
My sister, I'm trying to breathe. I'm trying to breathe, I'm trying to take it in, because that love word floats around so fluidly. So before I go into anything right here, we have a couple questions coming in the audience. We have friend of Jamaican saying one love to you in the audience. We have friend of Jamaican. We have friend of Jamaicans. We have in Jamaican saying, where in Jamaica are you from?
I was born in Kingston.
Kingston. Okay, so we have Kingstonian right here. All right. They say one love, Jamaica, no problem. That's how we're gonna do here. No problem. No problem. Okay. So we had problems. Okay, we had a problem, and she wrote about it.
Exactly. But we solved those problems, and that's
we solved those problems.
Because even when there are problems, you say, "Hey, no problem. I'm gonna work through it."
And that's the thing. Jamaicans are very persevere. Okay.
Yeah.
Very resiliency. Yeah, full of resiliency. So because love is so powerful, it is a very powerful force. It is one of maybe it's the most powerful force. Audience, what you said? I think it's the most powerful force. Why is it so hard for us to gather this?
I don't know why it's so hard. I think really people just have to a lot of times people let fear come in. They let fear of what they think is out there. They let fear of, and I think I heard the person before talk about this, a fear of what someone else might say or what someone else might think. And that's what we have to get past. And we have to understand, again, you're always going to be detractors. Not everyone will always agree with you, but you can still operate in love, and you still move forward regardless of how they operate or don't operate with you. You just operate from your spirit, your faith, and your love.
Okay. Was there a time that you had to determine how much you have to invest in love?
Um, well, I think we've all been through that in terms of a time of thinking of different events in our life and how much do you want to invest. For me, primary thing for me always has been, and probably because of the way I grew up and the influences here, family and friends and people that are close to me. And so based on that, I I never try to, I never limit um what I can do or what I can give or how I can help. So sometimes it does get heavy. I mean, true, we're all human beings, and sometimes there's a lot on you. But just as you said, sometimes you just have to take that minute, exhale, breathe, get back in there, and do what you know that you can for yourself and for others.
Put up your emoji. Let us celebrate my sister here. Someone once said this to me, that anything that hit the heart that is not love is foreign. Have you ever experienced that? That foreign.
Oh, sure. Sure. Because I've had experiences where, in life, in especially like in the working world, of you're doing your best and you're giving out and you're helping, and you're not getting that back. You're not getting that same fuel back, or that same love, that same help, that same support. So that comes all the time. But again, I have to look in the mirror at me and know who I am, regardless of what anyone else is and what they have sent towards me or not. So I can't let that infiltrate me and change who I am.
Audience, I told you tonight episode is that I didn't even expect all of this good juicy stuff, but I always come ready. Always look at yourself. Search yourself, no matter what no one else will say.
Right,
Search yourself.
right,
Judge yourself.
right.
Others' judgment, other opinions of you, doesn't matter. But it's how you feel and see you.
Yourself, exactly.
And that goes for you, Patricia. That goes for you, Jatusia. How do you see yourself? That goes for you, Lavon. The cutie, that goes for you. How do you see yourself? Not a validation from somebody else.
Right,
So that goes directly to you. Stop,
right,
search yourself, be still, look in the mirror and say, am I acceptance of this person that I'm looking back at me? How do I
right,
feel about this person that's looking back at me? Do I accept that person?
right.
And that's key. That is key to any form of journey you will be taking. That's key.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
key. You're always qualify yourself. Someone might tell you that you're not qualified for the job, but qualify yourself.
Right,
Qualify yourself.
right. Yes.
Okay, so your book is a memoir. So we had challenges, situations in there.
Yes.
How well did you challenge those challenges?
Well, in writing, I think I actually am happy with the job I did in really expressing the challenges to the audience who will read this, so that they understand one, the foundation, the background of the triggering events, also so that they understand and get a feel for all the different characters who were involved. They understand the personalities of each of the parents and the children, and then understand the environment that they were living in. I even gave background on that so people understand the environment and how Jamaica was at that time, and things that we did and the way people lived. And I even talked about the environment and how schools were and things of that nature. And then also, as I said, this is two journeys, because there's a path of the children living alone and trying to strive and survive. And then there's this new journey for my mother in the US. And it's a brand new world for her, completely different than anything that she had experienced before, and things that happen are not what she expected, and how then she has to learn to walk those paths, whether they are winding or whether they are straight, but how she has to learn how to walk those paths. And I think I do a good job of really laying that out and showing that, not just telling it, but really painting a picture in words for the reader, so that they can actually not just read it, but experience it with her, and then experience how she goes through it, and all the events.
Yes. I like to say, when we write, we should not just write, but we should paint a picture. And you just said it.
Exactly.
So people could see what you're saying, not read.
Right.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with our final segment with my dear sister, Patricia. Welcome back. Welcome back to this segment of the question. Again, I am your host, Verona Willis Brown, and we are celebrating breast cancer. So please get your breast checked. So let us welcome back my dear sister, Jacqueline Walker. Jacqueline, welcome back.
Thank you.
All right, so we are going to go into some questions. I see some questions popping up in the audience here. Yes, we have some question, and we have one coming in from, I think this is from Darnell. It's asking, how long do we have to wait for your next creation?
Hopefully not too long. I actually have two works in progress. I have a collection of short stories in progress that are going to be inspirational short stories, somewhat of a memoir format of experiences of my life and people who are close to me, in a collection of short stories that'll be coming out. I'm also working on an urban fiction novel that I think will be really interesting, that really talks about a progression, a young lady, and a progression of a career story in essence. And those are actually targeted. I'm targeting to get them out early next year, so in the first quarter next year. I also have an essay that's slated to be published in the Caribbean Writer, which is the journal of the University of the Virgin Islands. So that'll be published in their literary journal in April of next year. So not too long. Hopefully you'll get more from me.
And we have another question. DCQT00. Was it ever difficult for you to in accepting the decision that were made by your mom, you and your siblings? That's one part. So we'll let you answer that part, then we go into next question. Next part of that question.
And that's the thing, is I've talked about this with my siblings, and it wasn't difficult for us to accept. Somehow we all just knew, and maybe it was the way our parents had raised us and something that they were doing had prepared us for that day. So we just knew this had to be done, and we just did it.
Okay, and the second part of that question is, When did the turning point happen in realizing the intent behind her leave or decision was for good?
Uh, well, I think right at the beginning we knew it was for good because we were there. We knew what happened. We knew what we had and what we didn't have, and we all knew that growing up, our parents always had these great plans for us. And that's part of what, if you read the book, you'll get the more about that. They were really great plans for us, and so when we looked at this situation, we knew, hey, those plans are in us, and we want those plans. And if she has to do this to get us to those plans, we were okay with it. Plus, again, as I said, my oldest sister took guardianship, and again, if you read the book, you will see that if anyone, she was the key decision maker, and we all tend to follow her lead. So that's how it came about.
And before we go, let us know again where we can get the book.
The book is in Amazon, and I think my niece is on. She'll put it in the link for people to read. Also, they can go to my website, which is writingsbyjackie.com. And there they'll find the link to the book. And if you don't mind, we had talked about your guest before about poetry. And as I said, I started out writing, and that's poetry. That's really how I started. And even in my book starts out with a dedication of a poem that really speaks to the situation. It's a very short one. And I'd just like to read it to the audience, if you don't mind. Okay.
Mind at all. Go right ahead. That's why we're here.
Great. It's called Tomorrow. And it says, yesterday I laughed. Today I cried. What will tomorrow bring? Yesterday was filled with joy, hopes, and dreams soon to be fulfilled. Today there is pain and dissatisfaction, failure and losses abound. Yesterday I climbed to the mountaintop. Today I tumble to the valley below. But tomorrow I must begin my climb again upward, remembering yesterday and today, recapturing hopes and dreams, never repeating failures, laying down burdens, finding a pot of gold, sharing experiences, creating a future from the past and the present, realizing that life is a mixture of good and bad, winning and losing, ups and downs, yesterday and today, believing that there will come a tomorrow. Thank you.
That's it. We just thank you. We thank you.
So
That's
thank you for having me, and thank you to your audience, everyone. Out there. I know people are from different places, but I know I heard Jamaicans, and I thank you for coming on and supporting me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
and like I said, there's always a fun question at the end. Tell us
Okay.
something. Tell us what. I could give you the chance to answer to give us the answer, or no, I could give you the chance to give us a fun fact about you, or I could ask you something. Pick.
I'll let you ask me. I'll let you ask me.
All righty. Jamaica got many fruits. What fruit would you say you prefer and why?
Actually, what I prefer is, and what I call the Jamaican apple, which is not an apple like people see in the U.S. And I just always remember, as a little girl, picking that fruit, and it just has a special taste to me that I've never tasted in any other fruit in the U.S. or in any other country that I've traveled. So that really is my favorite.
See, if you never been to Jamaica and never had this apple, my darling sister just told you about it. Simple
Yeah, you
means
need to
she's
go and
saying
taste
that you should have
it.
it.
Yes, yes. It's like
And
nothing
simply
you've ever had.
and simply means she's saying for you to go to Jamaica. And simply means those Jamaicans are welcoming you.
Yes.
Yes. So, as we wind on this episode, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And like I always say to my guests, to my left is a chair. You can't see the chair, but I can see it and it is there, okay? It is there. Just believe me, it is there. That chair is stamped with your name on it because you are now a part of this family. I don't like fans, I like family.
Thank you.
So you are
Thank you
family.
very much.
So you are welcome here anytime you want to come. Just knock, and I just be the mother to just welcome you back home.
I appreciate that. I accept it. I receive it.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we go, my dear darling, is there any last word you want to put out to the audience?
I just want to say to the audience, in everything that you're doing or everything that you're going through, stay encouraged. Again, believe in yourself, believe in you. Don't worry about what the person to the left or to the right say if they're knocking you down. Believe in you, call on your inner strength, believe in your faith, and never stop pursuing your dreams. No matter how long it takes, never stop pursuing your dreams.
Audience, and that's it. And that's how we are going to close this episode of tonight. Believe in yourself. My dear sister, I thank you so much for representing Jamaica and most of all, representing yourself here on the question tonight. Thank you so much for being here. I like to say, I don't like to talk from my mouth, but I like to talk from my heart. And when I talk from my heart, I said, blessings to you, blessing to your family, blessing to your space,
Thank
to
you.
your country, to wherever you step. I send blessing and peace and love and prosperity and success to you.
Thank you very much, and the same to you. Thank you.
Yes, so thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, dear viewers, you heard it right here on the question. We went in and both guests paid tribute to their mothers. If you wasn't paying attention, then you missed that part of it. They paid tribute to their mothers in their writing. See, sometimes we as mothers, we sacrifice so much out of love because love is the most powerful element, the most powerful source there is. And once love knit together, we can evolve into anything. We can achieve anything. But I call you, the audience, I call you, the listeners, listen, let us take love as love is. Let us know where love comes from. Because without love, we can't succeed. But we must first know that our creation was created in love. Our creator is love. Therefore, we were created in this image, and that image of God resonate with us. And we must go forward, and we must live in that which we were created. When we created in love, we explode, we ignite, we grow, and we support each other. And that's what we do here on the question. We support each other. So as I take this time to thank you to tune into this episode, I hope you have jotted down all the goody stuff that we got here. Hope you learn a thing or two. And listen, before I go, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Take the time to do your examination. Get checked. Get checked. Because when you get checked early, there's a saying that prevention is better than cure. And that's what we want to do. We want to do self-check so we could know. See, we are always our first doctor, so why not do self-check? And before I go, again, I want to thank Total Entertainment Radio, for picking up this show and spreading it across the globe. Listen, next week we will have the airing of the radio segment. I will post it right here. I want to go into the audience and I want to thank each and every one of you for showing up. I see so many of you here tonight coming live from Jamaica. Hello. This is what I'm talking about. I am now in Jamaica with you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I see Jatrucia, Carlton, Patricia. I love you all. I love you all. And without you, there is no me. And without me, there is no you. Let us learn to work together. Let us learn to build together and grow together so we can support each other. Thank you for tuning in to this episode with your host, Verona Willis Brown. See you next week, same time, same place. What do we say? Peace, love, and blessing to you all. Have yourself good night, good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is, just have a good life.